Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco. They have been making espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. They have an amazing range of espresso machines to choose from that are all beautiful, innovative, and dependable. Machines like the KB90 with the straight-in locking portafilters, auto flush in the group heads, as well as scales in the drip tray. You've got the Leva with the pull levers that are just kind of this upgraded throwback to the age of pulling espresso shots. You've got the Linea, of course, the classic model, and the Linea PB as well, one of my favorite machines to recommend to clients. But you should check these out for yourself over at LaMarzoccoUSA.com, where you can find all that La Marzocco has to offer, as well as get in contact with them. That's actually the best way to go about this. Go email info@LaMarzoccoUSA.com. And one of their salespeople will help you make the right decision on a machine for your cafe. Again, check them out at LaMarzoccoUSA.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rattleware, where they just want to make small wares for your coffee shop that work. It sounds so simple, but it's the small things that don't work that make us the most frustrated sometimes. We depend on things like knock boxes and rinsers and whisks and pitchers and glassware and shot glasses, etc. And when these things just don't function the right way, we don't function the right way. And that's why Rattleware is passionate about dependability. They're passionate about giving you the right equipment for your cafe. Go ahead and check them out at rattleware.com for your smallware needs. Again, that's over at rattleware.com. Okay, everybody. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about something that it's really interesting, to me at least. And it is the necessity of marketing, but it is also the unfair expectations that marketing puts on people who use the product that is being marketed. And then specifically, we're going to talk about equipment. This is something you can use as a framework to apply to other things, but let's just open up this conversation with, I saw an ad for an espresso machine, and the ad said, are you having trouble keeping up in your cafe? Well, this machine might be the answer. And the idea here is that this machine is going to make it a lot easier for you and your staff to catch up with the queue and crush the rush, or to, basically be more productive. And while I do believe that great equipment is a requirement for a cafe, and I do also believe that, when you can, you should get these things new and make sure that you're getting as best as you can get within your budget, because the tools do matter. However, marketing takes on and promises more than it can actually deliver, insofar as we know that there are craftspeople behind this. The machine can't actually do the thing. The hand of the person using the machine, the mind of the person using the machine, the people using the machine are the ones who can use it well or not use it well. And then there are the promises that say, this will make you faster. This will make you more efficient. And you might have a grip on right now what your times are for drinks. And you say, well, we're going to get this espresso machine. It's going to be super fast now because that's what the people told me. They said that's going to be really fast. And we are suffering from, bad times. And so I'm going to drop a bunch of money, and some of you already can kind of tell where we're going with this, but we're going to drop a bunch of money on this machine. And then what happens a lot of times is that the machine gets in there, it's beautiful, it's like, ooh, ah. And then the same problem persists. The technological solutions technically work, and they can produce coffee in a quicker way because it addresses some things that are maybe consistency related, or that takes this out of the equation or that out of the equation. But what this machine can't do is make up for a failure in hiring, placing, training, equipping, resourcing, cultivating, coaching, all this stuff that behind the scenes feeds into the issue that may have prompted you to get the machine to begin with. And rather than face those things beforehand, we're like a barista who sees the espresso is not doing the right thing, doesn't think to check their tamp, doesn't think about their slamming the portafilter into the espresso machine, or that the roast date just switched drastically by a week or more. It just is, I'm going to change the grind, or there's something wrong with this grinder. Now, we don't like it when that happens because we think, well, what are the factors that we need to rule out first, the basics, in order to then say, perhaps it is the grinder. So before you go buying an espresso machine for your coffee bar because you feel like that's going to make you more efficient and more quick, I will tell you that there may be some marginal gains to be had through equipment purchases, but the best crew and the best trained baristas and team out there can be quick, efficient, and professional and just thrive on some of the equipment that you might look at and be like, well, I'd never have that in my shop. I'll tell you, you can do a lot with a little if you put a lot into it yourself. And so that's my first point. The second point, I suppose, is that perhaps we're unfairly saddling the barista with too much expectation to fulfill the machine's marketing points for us. If, hey, y'all, I bought this machine. This is the primo espresso machine. It's the top of the line. And you're not cutting the mustard here. This machine, this was what they used at the World Barista Championships. This is what they used at the thing when I was there. The person, and here it is in our shop, and you're not doing it. And it's got to be your fault. It's your fault. And if it's not the barista's fault, well, then it's the machine's fault. And it's got to be one of the two. So what is it? The answer is never as easy as, oh, I guess this staff just aren't going to respect the equipment and let it live up to its full potential and all this stuff. More likely than not, we're trying to shoehorn in this great equipment into a cafe that is not ready to receive that great equipment because it has not yet learned how to work itself, let alone an espresso machine. And that's the first thing you got to figure out. Before you drop a lot of coin on a great espresso machine, it's kind of like buying a guitar. I have been playing guitar for a few decades now, I suppose, and I'm not a wonder at the guitar. I love guitar. At one point in my life, I was really obsessed with Lutherie, and I still love the American fingerstyle guitar players and other guitar. It's a thing, right? Hobby. But the thing is, you don't usually start by buying a handcrafted 20,000 or more dollar guitar with all of the source, unless you're like one of these trust fund kids that, just gets this gifted to them, or they just buy it because they want to pick up the guitar and they end up playing some covers of pop songs maybe once or twice every month on this amazing guitar. And they're like, well, I'm still not a good guitarist, so maybe I didn't get the right guitar. Guitarists and musicians would tell you, you should probably cut your teeth on something more economical. And eventually you kind of earn your way to something that's more expensive where you can actually take full advantage of its range. And so here's where I want to kind of land with this. We have to make sure that we're taking full advantage of all the things that we currently have and not blaming our tools. A good craftsman doesn't blame their tools. Eventually, they might have to get around to getting new tools. Eventually, they will have to look to get good tools. But you've got to make sure that you've got the technique, that you've got the setting appropriate to take advantage of it before you start trying to solve problems through technology that culture, training, professionalism, resourcing, and all that fun stuff actually caused. And especially before you start blaming your staff for not fulfilling the promises and sometimes the over promises of marketing departments on espresso equipment that you purchased a little prematurely. And so that's just my word to you out there. There's an episode in the show notes about resourcing your team, being a people first leader, talking about barista training and hiring. I think that's a really great place to go after listening to this. It's the same kind of thing that you would want a barista to do, is listening to those episodes, applying the lessons is the dial-in process for people. and culture and the whole professional environment, where the espresso machines truly are just a tool, a conduit of an already existing focus and attention and discipline that only needs a vehicle through which to express something that is quality, not a piece of equipment to make up for a lack thereof. And so I hope that's helpful. Let me know. Always, I'm happy to receive emails if you have any comments or questions. If you need one-on-one coaching, if you want consultation for your coffee shop, for you and your staff, you need to work with a coach to help you develop some solutions for issues that you might be having in your cafe. This is truly where Keys to the Shop Consulting thrives. And I would encourage you to email chris@keystotheshop.com to learn more about that. And we'll just have a conversation to see what the right fit is for you and how I might be able to help. So anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break from Keys to the Shop.